Oh, I'm sorry. Is that last game over?
I think it finally came to a close.
NA, relegations. Everyone's favorite hopes and dreams of exciting games seem to be going out the window. But right now, the good news is we've got the two SPL defending teams up against each other. So we're going to see Noble versus Flashpoint. What's your expectation, Tim?
Considering that both of these teams already have victories for the day, and then on top of that, Flashpoint has undergone the massive roster swaps, I think that this could be a very telling tale for how these two teams are going to match up against each other, whether or not they're able to find themselves out of the relegations.
And as Sako just said there, both of these teams have already won one game each, so getting the second game here pretty much guarantees them for a three-way tie at the worst situation anyway, or put them through in the grand scheme of things anyway. What's your prediction on game length?
Game length? Probably, I mean, based off of that last one, I thought that was going to be like a 40-minute running game because at 24 minutes, I was like, I don't see how this could be ending anytime within the next 5 minutes. And then one team fight, and suddenly it's over at 27 and some change. So I'll give this one 30.
30? That's a good quote. We'll see how it goes. We'll work out as we're going to pick some bands now and see these two teams in action today. Flashpoint will be the first pick, first ban. Noble Esports with the counter option. Do we expect to see Cernunnos banned, or is he still happily getting through?
I wouldn't say happily getting through. I think that teams are just trying to prioritize other high-pressure picks at the moment, as Cernunnos is a god that you can certainly handle. Not to say the same thing, though, for Osiris or Wobbn. I think both of these are very smart bans by Flashpoint and Noble.
Well, Bologna should get banned as well, then, just because they are the top three in the solo lane that we always see. Bologna, Wobbn, Osiris. Just spoken about so much right now, especially with Def Salt. There we go!
There it is.
So, Cernunnos here? Or do you go Chang'e?
I don't think that teams necessarily consider Chang'e to have the same kind of viable threat, but they don't want to deal with it either way, and that's all that matters in the end.
I've been away too long. It feels so good to be back on the SPL stage again. Flashpoint with the first pick, though. They've got a couple of options available to themselves now. Cernunnos, the most obvious choice where we see a lot of people seem to go to, but do teams value it as highly as the fans at home? I guess is the question.
There's still also the Fafnir viability, and it seems as though Flashpoint would prefer to look at the Terra as a first pick selection. I think that this is kind of an interesting pick selection, considering that while it might be a flex, consider she can also go solo as well as support. It's just, she doesn't offer the same kind of pressure. There's a sustain option, but I feel as though there are other high pressure picks, and it seems as though Noble is looking for that direction with the current selection and the Hercules.
Now that Hercules as well should be in the solo lane here. Obviously with Wobbn, Bologna, Osiris ban, Hercules just rise in the rankings of the solo lane powerhouses there. So we'll see how we can do with the extra sustain he's going to have. I like the fact Noble didn't necessarily have to pick Fafnir there because it can still do that before the counterban phase.
It's certainly still an option. I do like the Hou Yi selection for Flashpoint. Might as well just add on to the AoE capabilities that you're already having for your team with the Terra. So I think that there's a lot of crowd control that Flashpoint could potentially be opting for. I wouldn't be surprised to see them. I was going to say a bot selection, but Serqet's also a pretty nice pick as well for that Hercules.
Yeah, shuts down the healing for a little while as well. Extra mobility on the map with the Terra ultimate coming through will allow it to get around the map a little bit easier as well. Back over to Noble though. They've got a couple of options for themselves now. Still got a couple of roles still to fill, obviously before the countdown phase, but I still think it should be Fafnir here.
Still think it should be Fafnir?
Should be Fafnir.
But it's not necessarily the direction that Noble will want to go, considering that they already have the Hercules. I think that they just wanted some heal, and that's exactly what they're going to have with the Geb.
Definitely helps with the shields to make sure you can don't get stunned by the ricochets or the crushing walls coming out from Terra. And as well against Serqet, it can remove the ultimate a little bit, at least reduce some of the damage there. So a bit of a damage soak option.
Geb is notorious for being the anti-Serqet god, and on top of that, I think that it favors Wubbn's playstyle a little bit better than what a Fafnir would. I don't think that I would necessarily classify Wubbn as one of those support players that you would look at like Trix Tank or somebody who just loves the aggression standpoint.
Sure, and if you're just tuning in right now as well, Noble and Flashpoint are the SPL teams defending the relegation spots, but they've both had plenty of roster changes as well, so these are not the same two teams that we saw in the regular season during spring. We'll see how these guys end up forming with their new teams now, and like with the additional members, whether they gel well together, because they've had a little bit of time, I guess, since spring to try and work things out with this team.
They've had a fair amount of time, especially, I'm looking more towards Flashpoint with Shadowq, who's somebody who's kind of like a pain in the beyond in the sense where not necessarily replacing the entire team every single time without like fail, but he has swapped out and taken a huge risk bringing up these challenger players who've been top of the crop for the CC scene into what could potentially be the entryway to the SPL, but it's still really risky granted the time that they were given.
Very big game for both these two teams. Should secure them at least a three-way tie if they can find a win here, or even just put them through straight into the SPL off this if results go their way. Sol picks up for Noble Esports, more than likely for the mid lane there for MLC Stealth. Obviously, Sol's started to rise to prominence in the mid lane now as an actual mage and not as much of a hunter.
Ever since her changes, she hasn't really felt like a magical ADC, especially with the removal of the Vitalis effect on her 3. I think that the way that MLC has been prioritizing her, and a lot of mid laners such as Zeros, for example, it's just excellent burst damage. Her ultimate has such great secure for objectives. We saw it bump through for Noble on the Portal Demon in that last game, so I wouldn't be surprised to see MLC looking for the same sort of burst potential.
For Flashpoint, going to go back to that Nox once more. Very similar composition from Flashpoint that they played earlier on today. Amaterasu will round out their draft with... So, Noble will round out their draft with Amaterasu, I should say. But the question is, who's the jungler here? Is it Hercules in the jungle?
I could see Amaterasu in the jungle.
I'd see more Herc than
It seems like something Cope would play.
It's Geb jungle! Of course! I've never seen that work before!
If it didn't work for EE, you really think it's going to work for NA?
I don't know, man. Is it a Sunder? I don't see no Sunder Geb. No, it's not Geb in the jungle. It's Geb in the support role for a Wubbn. Cope in the jungle playing that Hercules instead. And we'll see Aquarius on the Amaterasu in the solo lane. Quite a lot of roster changes, like you said, you know, for both these teams. Flashpoint, you mentioned Shadowq with pretty much a new roster yet again. Mirage, the only kind of remaining one there. And then across the way, well, Stealth, Wubbn, and Wowy are still together, but now they brought in Cope and Aquarius.
I think that Aquarius he's shown his prominence in the solo lane already in the SPL, and I think that he's a very strong addition to the Noble lineup.
We'll talk about Sunders as well. Shadowq's the only one to start Sunder this game on Terra. We'll see how that works out for them, because a lot of the supports these days, there's a few more options now, because nobody really wants to go meditate in the support role. It's just not as viable as the game goes on. So we're seeing things like Sunder, like Shell. Maybe we'll start to see horrific emblems, or there's at least more kill potential with this Sunder option.
I actually feel as though meditation still has its viability. It's just a little bit riskier than what it used to be.
Well, left-hand side, so right-hand side, I should say, Flashpoint could try to contest their own speed buff here, but Cope and Aquarius just showing dominance. 2 warriors this early on against level 1 assassin and a level 1 mage. It's pretty easy to win the trade out if it goes well, especially if you can avoid the burst damage from the silence of Nox.
I think they were concerned about the rotation, the possible rotation from Dante in that solo lane, though. As a level 2 Vamana, he could certainly help his team with securing their buffs if need be.
Well, Cope on the side of Flashpoint as well today, playing for Noble. He, earlier on, used to play for Astral Authority once upon a time. Aquarius has been around as well. He was originally on Flashpoint, and now he finds himself on Noble. So there's a lot of interesting changes between the teams where they've all actually played with each other in the past in one version or another, and now find themselves on different teams.
Well, the thing is that Aquarius isn't necessarily playing against the same Flashpoint that he was once a part of,
That's true.
And I'm sure that he's more than aware of that. You can probably anticipate different sort of play styles, because when you bring in new members, such as what Flashpoint has done with the addition of Sheyka and Sops and Dante, these are players that you're not going to necessarily understand what they're looking for in a competitive environment.
3-on-3 around the Oracles here at the moment as we tune in with the solo lane, where Dante's dealing with 2 himself, but Mirage turns up. Can't find the kiss today, though. The Oracle's different story on the left-hand side. Not sure which team ended up coming out on top of that one right now. It looks like it may have been a split, as I can't see the ward down on the map.
And for either side, it's probably for the best that they don't have to worry about that map pressure already, considering that Geb and Kern won't necessarily attract a ton of lane pressure in that dual lane, but neither will the Hou Yi Terra matchup.
Stealth just poking out Shadowq a little bit more there. Being tagged along with Wubbn in the mid lane, who's Geb is probably Wubbn's best god. From what we've experienced and seen of Wubbn in the past, his Geb is fantastic, and giving Stealth even more survivability with Disapparate and the shields, and the amount of peel that Geb can bring can help out quite a bit.
It's actually really interesting, too, that Sheyka feels confident enough to select the Nox after the Geb pick had already been picked up for Noble.
Yeah, but at the same time, a lot of Guardians, a lot of Assassins really struggle against the likes of Nox. That root cripple, we should mention, as well as the silence, can cause so many issues. Even if you don't use the combination together for the big burst damage, it can cause him not to be able to get in a decent position.
Speaking of decent positions, Dante might be in a not-so-decent position, and he's going to be able to dash away pretty safely on the Vamana, and it's back to farm central for both. teams.
Yeah, but Cope walks around the corner straight in towards Mirage, who ults him. Dante ends up taking a lot of poke, but the dot damage is good enough. The poison spreads to the minions, and now Aquarius is getting beat down by archers too. There's not going to be enough to kill him just yet, but Mirage closing the gap. The chase is on, and Aquarius falls for the second kill of the game. 3 minutes in and 2 kills! Hooray! North America learned to kill things!
I almost feel bad, but there's really nothing that can be said.
It's just true.
It's just true, especially after the last match. I mean, but you do have to respect that these teams are just trying to get a feeling out for each other, especially considering that they're both aware that they're the teams with a point victory already to their names. So if they secure another win against each other here, that's going to really be favorable for who goes through on relegations.
And one other thing you can see in terms of itemization, at least from the support's point of view, is the low nose mask, and one of the newer items in the game right now. Not really seen too much of it in the EU yesterday. We saw a little bit of it here and there, but it appears that, you know, over in North America, they've started to see this item is very valuable to the supports. Do you think it's a valuable item yourself, Taco?
A lot of supports seem to be favoring the health that this item can provide to you, especially once you get the stacks fully online. As a support, you never want to be last hitting anyway because of Watchers. So if you're transitioning between the lanes, and most supports tend to roam during these games from the early stages, from the mid lane to the solo lane and back again, I just think that it's a pretty safe selection for looking for that extra health. Yeah,
plus the extra gold you'll get once you get it stacked up, which gives you that health, and the regeneration you get from it as well. 15 HP 5 isn't too bad. It's not something to shout about too much, but it does mean you don't have to buy as many health potions in the early game. Try and hold on to some of that gold as time goes on. Noble starting around the Gold Fury here, mainly looking for the Oracles on the right-hand side again. Mirage is having a whale of a time now. 3 kills for him. Aquarius falls for his second time this game.
It's making perfect sense now why Mirage wanted this Serqet so highly. He just wants to camp the solo lane, because what better opportunity for a Serqet as far as CC and Lockdown is concerned than on 2 characters who aren't going to really have it available to them.
Left-hand Harpy's going to go the way of Noble there. As you saw the left-hand side as well, Sops was just busy dueling out against Wowy in this lane. We'll see how that one goes on as time continues between Sops and Cernunnos. Because I want to know, Hou Yi versus Cernunnos, how's that matchup?
It's a pretty fair matchup on either end, because whichever hunter gets their kit off first, I think is really going to be the one that it's favored towards. And Hou Yi is probably one of the better ones for dealing with the Kern, simply because his one can catch out the dash.
Ricochets can do this. Oh no, he mistimed it. Sops was looking for the highlight reel play there. Instead, Wowy's returning some damage, but the bad news is Wowy didn't recognize round the corner with Shadowq. That's going to get the beads out of the hunter for Noble, as Flashpoint looked to aggress onto the purple for a second, but with Wubbn hanging around, they'll fall back.
And it's excellent by Wubbn and Cope to be making this rotation over to Flashpoint side of the jungle. They want to make sure that Wowy is safe, knowing that his beads have been expended, because I can guarantee you Mirage is going to be sitting in that lane trying to find the pick onto the hunter.
Well, there's no reason for him to go towards the solo lane anymore after he's focused there. He's given a nice little lead for Dante already. I guess he can start looking towards either the duo or the mid lane a little bit more.
Most likely, and especially since they want to have the pressure early on to try and deal with Gold Fury, Objective 2, or even just picking up the Oracle Vision safely.
Oh, more pressure from Mirage again. Cope is in trouble there, and there's a problem, but he avoids that for the time being. If that would have connected from Sheyka from downtown, that Cope would have taken a tumble, but still healthy enough to continue farming up in the mid lane, as now Wowy's rotating to try and contest what Flashpoint are looking at, the red buff.
And this is the issue that Flashpoint, or that Noble is going to be encountering. That they don't have a whole lot of early game aggression, and right there is a perfect example. They can't even defend their red buff. Sops is going to get out, and Wowy, it cost him his ultimate.
Well, the hunt was almost on there for Wowy, but unfortunately Sops had already taken to the sky, got away just in time. Wubbn wants to still try and punish Sops there, but a nice walls from Shadowq will stop that. On the right-hand side, though, proxy farming Dante needs to be a little bit careful here. Luckily enough, though, Cope can't make the rotation to try and cause issues. He wants to make sure at least he gets his own speed. So important to jungle. It's
so important to junglers, but it's also incredibly important for Hercules, because Hercules isn't necessarily an immobile god by any means, but when you're comparing it to a Serqet, who's literally just got a million dashes, it feels like. And Mirage has just been all over the map already, but it seems that Cope has just not been able to get there at the same time.
And this is just allowing Dante to control this lane and keep 2 members busy now around this blue buff. Noble just want to try and defend this blue and get it for themselves, and a nice little pushback from Cope will do that for them. But on the left-hand side, you can see they're losing the Oracles while this is going on, unless Wubbn can change it himself.
as a Geb with the Shockwave, it's just not going to be enough contest against a Serqet and a Hou Yi. That confirm is just all too safe.
Yeah, left-hand Harp is about to spawn as well, so these should go the way of Flashpoint as Noble fall back to the safety of the map. The goal difference between the two teams just under 2,000 right now in favor of Flashpoint with those 3 kills. Nothing really more than that. They've not got a Gold Fury just yet, no extra towers, but all that gold is really on the side, I'd say, of Mirage, thanks to those kills.
100%, and on top of that, since Flashpoint were able to secure the Oracle Vision, now Noble need to be incredibly careful, especially Copebby, if he decides to try and help out Aquarius in that solo lane, because the second that there's 2 or 3 members even on the other side of the map, that's a guaranteed Gold Fury aggression by Flashpoint.
Now, we'll say Noble's frontline is pretty strong this game, obviously with 2 Warriors and a Geb. They're going to have a lot of safety on the front line as well as peel for the back line, but the problem is going to be is Sheyka on the Nox and Mirage on the Serqet. Serqet be able to get to the back line, and Nox be able to like keep the front line busy, I expect. Do you favor one comp over the other?
If Sheyka isn't ensuring that he's catching Wubbn in the silence or root every single time, it's probably not going to be favorable as the game progresses, simply because Geb really is the hardest counter in the game for Nox.
Well, DanteLeFargo spinning himself once again as the hunt comes out for Shadowq. Only Shadowq getting focused down here. As you can see, sops is trying to make an escape route, but Cope pinned him off, and now Shadowq still in trouble. But the mobility will get him away for a moment until the boulder comes out from Cope. Wowy's now left alone, and he needs some support here, but he's been isolated and will fall down to DanteLeFargo. Sops is in against 2, looking for the ricochet. Doesn't even need it. The in-hands are good enough, but Aquarius will punish him for overstaying. However, 2 members of Flashpoint still going strong. Aquarius should fall to the silence that cancels out the other silence, but there's no further follow-up. 2 for 3 the way of Flashpoint.
Just takes a little bit too long for that Nox bubble to pop and secure the confirmed damage onto Aquarius. It might not necessarily kill them, but it definitely would have done a solid bit. But now, with Aquarius not having an ultimate available and Wubbn just being Geb, there's no contest for Gold Fury.
Now, until that Gold Fury does go the way of Flashpoint eventually, just taking a hell of a long time to do that. It's not a problem, though. Gold lead extends just a little bit more now, around 1,400 gold, 4,000 experience as well. Most of that experiences seem to be shared quite evenly, though.
It's not a drastic enough golder experience lead, I'd say, for Noble to be considered out of this game, especially considering their composition.
Sure.
They're a team that's favoring the mid to late game stages. I mean, Geb doesn't even really become all that effective until right around levels 9, and I mean, he's at that point now where his shields are just helping out his teammates so much, but he really just needs a CDR.
So what's the game plan for Noble now? With the Gold Fury being down, is it just try and farm up, play safe until we can try and get towards mid-stage a little bit better?
Protect the Portal Demon as well. They don't want to give up Portal Demon for free, just because while the gold isn't necessarily the most important part, it's the map pressure and control that Flashpoint could acquire from it should they lose the Portal Demon.
Looks like we're maybe seeing 2 Book of Tops coming out here for Sheyka and Stealth at the same time. Both going for a very, very similar build so far, both starting with the Sands of Time and the Bomber's Mask as well, straight into boots, but then Book of Tough, or do we expect Soul Reavers?
I would expect
Book
of Tough. It's too soon in the game for a Soul Reaver, and I just don't think that either of those mages would really prefer to have the Soul Reaver to a Thoth.
Well, with 4 members in the mid lane there, you can see Noble did secure the left-hand Harpies. Unfortunately, Cope couldn't find a gank there, but he walked through that minion wave through mid, so the minions gave vision, and Flashpoint were well aware of the situation, so they're just going to back up and play it safe and surrender those. Dante, though, he's still happy to continue proxy farming and trying to draw as much attention as he can. Right now, he's draw 3 members' attention for the time being.
Who I'm really looking towards, though, is Mirage. His itemization has been pretty unique with the Runeforged Hammer on the Serqet. That's not something we see every day, if ever.
But it does increase your damage output when you've got them CC'd, and one thing that generally a Serqet does is CC you to deal damage, so it kind of helps. We'll see how it works in this gank. Knows he looks for Cope. Kiss will connect, and there's the all-in as well with the ultimate. Cope's already bleeding to death with the poison. It doesn't necessarily spread to Aquarius, but Flashpoint get another kill for free.
And just an excellent rotation by Flashpoint, expending the Terra ultimate for the additional movement speed just in case there was any chance of Copebby escaping.
And Taco, you said they need to protect the Portal Demon. Well, right now the Portal Demon's going down, and they're still looking to pick up DanteLeFargo. But Dante doesn't care. He's just going to turn into the big baby after the Portal Demon goes down. No, it doesn't go down, I should say. I think he's still standing. Did they take it?
It was a very smart decision by Noble to immediately make the rotation over, because had they not put their remaining members on that side of the map, Flashpoint would have certainly committed to that.
Yeah, surprisingly they actually gave them. I think they were a little bit worried about losing Dante there, so they did end up falling back. Sops going to clear a wave out, make sure that Wowy will lose a little bit of experience to that tower. He should be back in time for the majority of that wave. They'll probably lose like 1 or 2 if he's very unlucky. But most members of Flashpoint just going to go back, continue spending up a little bit more gold now, and look to use this gold advantage to their advantage.
Copebby is actually in a little bit of trouble here because as a Hercules, you're looking to primarily aggress in the early stages of the game as a jungler. The one just deals so much damage early on, but approaching these mid-game stage, it's going to be really difficult, especially considering that he's already 2 levels behind Mirage on the Serqet, which is somewhat of a counter to the Hercules.
Definitely, on top of the fact that the relics, you've not got the second one available for him now, so he couldn't necessarily go Blink for some engaging, or Thorns to absorb some more damage. There's a couple of options Cope could look for as time goes on, but right now he's just going to focus on hitting level 12 for that second relic.
I would prefer to see Cope look for a defensive relic as opposed to an initiating one, because they have Aquarius to be the initiating factor, or Wubbn if necessary, and either of those gods can either frontline or backline for their team. Because of the way that Noble drafted, they're looking to just protect MLC and Wowy 100%.
And Mirage on that level 13 Serqet now did go for the Blink pickup, so he's going to be able to engage and save his ambush now to get out again if he needs to. May see it get used here, though, as he's looking to help out Dante invading this blue buff once more.
And Dante, he's just been all over Noble's side of the map, and it's incredibly difficult. I mean, what do you do when there's just a giant baby constantly in your jungle who's ahead of everybody?
Put him in a crib or a ring, but you can't do that because Odin is not here. That's how you deal with it, no?
The T1 tower as well for Noble in the solo lane is, the health is getting low enough now to where it's going to be a concern, because Flashpoint at any, like, they could definitely just look to aggress and take out that tower.
Oh, mid lane, bit of pressure from Sheyka there, but a nice shield coming out from Wubbn, sorry, should slow things down for a moment, forcing Sheyka to just fall back. Flashpoint still in a comfortable lead here. They've not really done anything since the Gold Fury, other than the little gank on the right-hand side there, and the attempt at the Portal Demon, but with the Gold Fury coming back up yet again shortly, this is a moment that Noble needs to do very, very well this next Gold Fury. Don't give it up for free.
And Aquarius, speaking of not giving anything up for free, he could be in quite a lot of danger. Mirage wanted to blink over. He wanted to go in, because as soon as Flashpoint get another pick, I don't think that we'll see them not committing to Portal Demon the second time around.
Portal Demon or the Gold Fury even as well, especially if they can kill Aquarius and then have Dante rotate over with that Vamana. It causes so many more problems. Sops in the dual lane, every time we tune in with him right now, he seems to be hanging in the jungle, looking to try and force Wowy to get hit by a triple shot from the Ricochet.
But finally, he finally found what he was looking for, Dante, proxying out the wave long enough to allow his creeps to push into that T1 tower and secure that victory.
Teleport comes in from Aquarius, and meanwhile, at the same time, DanteLeFargo is manually transitioning over. Gold Fury's reset for now as Cope looks for the pluck. Can't find it though. Sops has the mark on Cope, and Dante round the back. Gonna get a couple of slows off, and there's the pop of the ult from Shadowq. The Wild Hunt only hits onto Shadowq at the same time as Aquarius comes in, looking for the stun. Sops in a lot of trouble, but so is Cope at the same time. Sops is one hit from death, but will jump over to safety. Cope, different story. Dante picks that one up, and Dante surrounded by 3 now, just giving the beat down to stealth, as the rest of the team make sure that Aquarius can't continue to get involved. Pretty much an even trade between the two.
Dante is just so massive though. He was single-handedly zoning 3 people. And before killing Cope, I mean, Cope was technically the 4th, but he died.
He did.
So it's just absolutely incredible how far ahead Dante already is in the way that he's able to control these team fights for Flashpoint. Noble was saving grace, honestly, was Aquarius' ult at the back line, just because it had the chaos involved with the Wild Hunt ult from Wowy, but that's still not going to be enough later on. They need to be a little bit more careful with these engagements.
And credit to Aquarius for the fact that Dante is 4-0-4, but he's only a level behind that of Dante. The Gold Fury still goes for free, though. Flashpoint just goes straight back to it the second time, and Noble just caught sleeping.
Not necessarily caught sleeping, it's just nobody could really rotate there fast enough. They all had the back. They were all so incredibly low after that last engagement, but Flashpoint had to sustain from the Terra. And that's the advantage that they're able to have every single time.
Well, with the Gold Fury going down, the Oracle fight will happen now. Wubbn and Wowy showing up. But there's 3-on-3 here. One goes the way, I believe that was an even trade of the 2. But Dante's still trying to keep him busy in this lane. He could be in a bit of trouble here, though. Still got his ultimate available right now, so trying to buy time for a rotation. The bad news is the rotation coming isn't from his team. It's from Wubbn. But Dante's still going to try and get away. Nice big baby usage to avoid the ult stun coming out from Aquarius there. Ult for ult trade, and Dante lives again.
The problem is there's just no lockdown potential. You have a Hercules and an Amaterasu, and sure, Emma has her ultimate, but Dante's got a CC immune ultimate as well, and it's just not the same kind of aggression that you can expect, like, for instance, Mirage on the Serqet, where he's got the entirety of CC in his whole kit that actually deals the burst damage necessary to take out these tanky solo lanes.
Portal Demon started up for now by Flashpoint once again. Aquarius first to contest with Wubbn and Cope in tow. Stealth will hang at the back as much as he can. He'll be the focus from Flashpoint if they can find him, but they will have to get through the front line first. Mirage blinks in, and immediately ult comes out from Stealth, but Mirage beads and jumps away after getting knocked out by Cope. So it's a forced reset for both teams for a moment.
Also had to expend the Heavenly Agility by Shadowq there to try and make sure that Mirage didn't fall down. I think without that additional speed boost, he might have been caught out a little bit sooner, and at least they might have been looking to pursue.
Well, basic trade between the two hunters here. Wowy's just happy to continue trying to farm in this lane, but sops has a 2-level lead now in this lane just by superior farming from his team.
And that global gold is really what makes all the difference in these ADC matchups, because sops is in a very comfortable position now. Even though he's 1-1-3 and Wowy's only 0-1-1, both their builds are at a similar standpoint, except for the fact that sops has that Tins online, while Wowy's looking for the crit.
And the question with the crit, is this going to be Rage next? Because it seems Rage is all the go right now.
I would expect it to be a Rage simply because it's cheap, Noble's already behind, and Wowy just needs as much burst damage as possible to try and deal with Flashpoint.
And if in doubt, RNG.
Exactly.
If in doubt.
You can't really go wrong with RNG, Jesus, unless your life RNG is just awful.
Is your life RNG awful?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Yeah,
why is that even a question?
That's a good point. I don't know why I asked it. I was like, yeah, what do you do that's actually good? Good point. I didn't really work that one out, I'm sorry. 20 minutes in though, and we're still dancing around the Portal Demon now. It's been a relatively slow, methodical game, I'd say, from Flashpoint's point of view. They've done what they've needed to, they've not overdone it too much at the same time. Noble have just been hanging around and waiting for the most part. I've not really seen them get aggressive. They've just been trying to answer back to what Flashpoint have been giving to them.
That's one of the primary issues with Noble, is that they have gods who can certainly make the initiating standpoint, but it's so difficult for them to have that happen when they fell behind early on.
Well, there's pressure in the mid lane from Flashpoint. They may swing straight towards the Portal Demon now. Speed buff is also available, but Dante started up the Portal Demon already, which means the Flashpoint are looking to commit a bit heavier here. They've left Sheyka in the mid lane and Mirage hanging around to stop the rotation, but as soon as Aquarius shows his face, Mirage goes straight into action. Full wombo combo. The Sunder from Dante didn't find a home. Portal Demon goes down though, and now the fight is on from Noble's point of view, trying to get something out of this, but the problem is that they've only got Mirage right now. Stealth's running for his life from sops, and he'll get away to live to fight another day. Dante's being chased down by Cope at the same time. Aquarius in a bit of trouble here on the left, but it's against sops, who's overcommitted on his own, and sops is surrounded. The Aegis is going to buy him a moment's notice for his team to turn up, but Wowy will get credit for the kill. This is a good fight for Noble.
That was an excellent fight for Noble, trapping out the Wild Hunt inside of the Fire Giant pit, so everybody's getting knocked up, including Mirage, who's also falling. And now Noble are actually finally getting to take that aggressive standpoint, having a Geb available with the shield and a creep wave coming in. This T1 should fall down.
A lot of focus from Shadowq and Sheyka onto hitting Wubbn over and over again on the front side, but still not enough to bring him down just yet. You can see that Wubbn did invest into some magical defense early with that Thebes, gives him a little bit more protections. Normally you used to see the old Sovereignty was the first thing rushed, but always good to mix it up based off the situation. Talking about bad situation, Cope is in one. The shield from Wubbn will keep him alive, but Sheyka's ultimate will confirm the kill. With that portal and 4 members here of Flashpoint, they're going to force Noble to run for their lives.
And it was just a little bit too much too soon from Noble. They had the excellent fight. They were able to pick up T1 in solo, but now because of that over-aggression, Flashpoint are going to be able to answer that back, and they are certainly not looking to leave this mid lane without a kill or the tower.
No one has an ult on the side of Noble right now. A couple of ults available for Flashpoint, though. They do want to commit under the tower, but with 4 members there of Noble, they're just going to take their time, be quite patient, and instead rotate to try and trap them at the Gold Fury.
There's a Gold Fury. It just came up, and if Flashpoint are able to secure this second or third Gold Fury, that's going to put Noble in a really tight spot, considering that the Gold Visit, it's already starting to become slightly problematic, and a Gold Fury would definitely add to that.
Stealth was leading the charge in towards that Gold Fury pit there, but he didn't manage to get those oracles, and now Noble have just given up the goose at the Gold Fury for a second. There's only Wowy here, and Wowy's like, hey guys, they're still doing the gold. Stealth turns up though, gonna lead the way once more. Needs to be careful of the in-hands coming out from sops, because they will start to Shrek as this game goes on. Aquarius on the front side though, as the rest of the team of Flashpoint look for Cope. But Cope knew it was coming and will disengage. Aquarius though will not find the stun he was looking for as Dante knocks him up and then turns on the big baby. Ult from Sheyka on the backside does great damage to reduce the damage coming out from Noble, and that allows Wubbn to get picked up first of all. Mirage in a bit of trouble there, but the boulder from Cope not on the mark as Wowy running for his life from DanteLeFargo, and who's going to peel as LeFargo claims another life. He turns his way back around towards Aquarius, and Cope's going to fall in a second. Sops credited for the kill.
And that's the team fighting potential that Flashpoint's draft has. The knock shut down as soon as Wubbn was made the target. Wubbn had an excellent Cataclysm on the Geb, but nobody around him from his team to follow up. And because of that, the fight ultimately goes in Flashpoint's direction, and now so will the Gold Fury.
And that Gold Fury just going to make this lead even bigger now, stretching it to just under 10,000 gold. Not only that, but the experience is starting to catch that way as well. 6.2. You can see that dip for a second on the graphs of where Noble had an opportunity. But now things are going wrong for Noble. They can't seem to find a commit.
This Hou Yi is incredibly problematic for Noble because Hou Yi is probably one of the best ADCs for dealing with these tanky targets that Noble has and is trying to make happen for their front line. But Cope just doesn't seem like he's tanky. He's 1 in 6, and he's just getting absolutely shredded. And on top of that, sops is only building more pen.
It is a good point. I mean, at the same time, Cope is level 60, or level 14, I should say, whereas sops is 19. If your tanks are below the Hunter, you're going to have a bad time.
But either way, even if he was on par, it's still, Copebby just doesn't have the same kind of, Noble needs CC, a lot more CC.
I get it.
And it just doesn't have the same kind of effect when your opposition is a Serqet, a Vamana, a Nox, a Terra. Literally every single member on Flashpoint has some form of CC for themselves or for their team to use as like an overall fighting stage. It just doesn't seem as though Noble's able to really lock down any one target in particular.
So do we think picks and bans are really the problem for Noble here? Is it really the compositions of the fact that they've not got much CC potential or setup potential, I guess?
I would say it's primarily the giraffes than what it is the actual individual player skill.
Okay.
It's just been too much where Cope just hasn't been able to have the same kind of impact as Mirage on the Serqet, and it's just once a Hercules falls behind and doesn't get that snowball effect that you're looking for early on, he's just there. And he's trying to build more tanky, but the lack of damage, it's too much to rely on Wowy and MLC Stealth.
I'm talking about the player damage there. You can see Wowy and Stealth are the top 2 players for Noble right now. But DanteLeFargo and sops are nice and high above them. Dante's not really scared. He's going to go straight in and take that tier 1 tower. Portal Demon has just respawned as well. And I think that's why we see that quick exit from Flashpoint from the mid lane towards the Fire Giant.
Exactly, and now with Dante just, again, just trying to zone out as many members of Noble as possible, they don't really have a way to deal with him. The only people who could possibly burst him down are Wowy and MLC.
Well, Portal Demon started up here, down to half health. Reset again by Flashpoint. As you can see them looking for the fight there. Dante's keeping Wowy busy in the left-hand side. Very important for Dante to try and contain either Stealth or Wowy in this fight. Portal Demon down to half again, still aggro. Terra pops the ultimate as they collapse onto Aquarius, who was a little bit overextended. Great driving strike combo out of Cope, but he had no follow-up from his team as they were busy dealing with the Vamana on the backside. Wubbn's the one that's being focused down now as the rest of his team look to escape. But now that they're dead, a nice double crushing wall from Shadowq was further set up. But the problem is it's Shadowq who's overextended there. Luckily enough, he's got Dante in tow to help him out and get him back to safety.
Wowy wasn't able to find the RNG Jesus crits that he needed to secure that pick onto Shadowq. And now as a Terra and with the Portal Demon about to fall away of Flashpoint, they're just going to back, happily spend their gold, and I can't say that this Fire Giant's going to be around for much longer.
Well, we'll see what Noble choose to do here, because I guess they have to contest the Fire Giant here. They can't really give this up. If they give this up, the game's looking in the bag pretty much for the side of Flashpoint.
And I really like the itemization choices by Flashpoint. You can see that sops is opting to build into the Odie bow as a last item, as opposed to looking for a Fatalis even, ever since it was considered a buff, considering that Fatalis did gain more attack speed, but considering how much more expensive the item is, a lot of hunters haven't really been favoring him.
Cope ulted early by Mirage, and Mirage is just trying to make sure Cope stays out of the fight here, so 3 members from Flashpoint can continue taking the Fire Giant, and with Dante in tow, they'll pick up the Fire Giant, and look how Noble just immediately turn around when they see that Fire Giant buff around the waist of the frontliners.
There's just no way for Noble to potentially jump in there and try to steal it. Wowy and Wubbn just weren't in position at the time, and on top of that, Wubbn doesn't have a blink available.
Yeah, that's true.
He opted for the Heavenly Agility as a secondary support item.
And that's going back to the engage again, because you're really just relying on the Earthbreaker driving strike combo if you can find it, or you're relying on Aquarius going in with the ultimate to really set themselves up. They don't really have anything that's going to be long range. You don't have the assassin like a Hombat, so you'll get the Fear No Evil off, or a Thor that'll come from the sky and set up some control.
Right before Flashpoint picked up the Fire Giant, and when that initial Portal Demon engagement happened, Aquarius tried to dash in on the ammo to look for that game-changing backline ultimate, but he was just blown up immediately. Yeah. And that's really the issue here for Noble is I think that they might have needed Wubbn to have the blink available to get off the big Cataclysm for the setup, and then have at least Flashpoint's actives be expended, so that way if Noble were to engage further onto their backline with the Hercules or the ammo, it'd have a little bit more effect.
And you can see how much focus Cope is adding in, where he's invested into beads and Aegis, which is something you wouldn't normally see on a Hercules in any game normally, but the amount of pressure that Flashpoint have been putting onto the jungler time and time again, especially with Mirage just hunting him down every single time you've seen him. I can understand why he's had to go this, but it's been at a detriment for Noble now.
It's unfortunate for Noble as well. Like we mentioned, it's simply, I think, just the drafts and the lack of initiation on the side of Noble in comparison to Flashpoint. You have that Terra ultimate, you have the Nox lockdown potentially, and sure, Wubbn can clench shields, and I was expecting that to be the primary issue for Flashpoint, but considering just how aggressive they've been able to play because of Dante, he hasn't been able to get those, you know, impactful cleanses that you're really looking for, and even when they come through, that just means that your shield is down for helping out your hunter or your mage who's being chased down by the rest of Flashpoint.
Well, Noble are just going to hang at their Phoenixes now. They can't defend these tier 2 towers whatsoever. You can see the amount of attack speed that Sops has got right now on this Hou Yi, especially because of the Kasari coming out from DanteLeFargo on the Vamana, one of the items that we may start to see more of after the patch now, with the extra attack speed coming along with it.
I'd imagine so. It's such a beneficial item for everybody on your team. You might as well just pick it up for your hunters especially. And like I mentioned, with Fatalis not necessarily being the most prioritized item because of the fact that it's now the 2,600 gold. That's pretty expensive. That's almost as expensive as a Kins, and it doesn't provide nearly as much. You've got the gas pedal effect, but you can get the same kind of effect from stacking Odie, Ickful, Exy, and Kins.
Well, you've also got Heavenly on the side of Shadowq here, which gives you that effect for a few seconds. The Fatalis effect of days gone by back in Season 1, when every hunter used to run that sprint option for themselves. The upgraded version will give your whole team the Fatalis effect for a few seconds, which is perfect for when you can't get Fatalis yourself.
I miss the old gas pedal days. It was horrible, but it was great.
It was only fun when you were doing it. It's like everyone loves everything that's fun when they play it, but when they have to play against it, it's a different story.
Bring back rituals.
Mid lane, pressure onto Wowy, but that ultimate did not hit from Sheyka. The commit's still there. Flashpoint though. In goes Mirage with the ultimate, with the shield to protect Cope for the most part. Nice double root coming out from Shadowq there to keep him more busy. Cope takes a lot of poke from Sops and is still trying to get away. The crushing balls from Shadowq do not connect, but the Phoenix in mid lane's already dead, and DanteLeFargo did his job on the front line. Wubbn stepped forward too far, and he's dead. Stealth will follow that one up as well. And could this be game right now? Flashpoint looking to pressure on. They're feeling strong, but they don't have any minions.
They're feeling strong, and I would be too. These Phoenixes are getting absolutely melted by Flashpoint, and on top of that, so are the members of Noble, as Copebby just falls immediately.
Yeah, one more down, and that should be 17-4 here. This Titan is falling quick, and I think that'll be the end of this game, which secures Flashpoint an extra chance at making it back to the Pro League with at least a 3-way tie, depending on how things go.
I thought Sauce was going to die before he could get the slam dunk off with the 3.
That would have been nice, but it wasn't the case. In the end, though, Noble did not do what they needed to do. It was Flashpoint that came out on top. 2 wins in 2 games puts him in a fantastic position here. And I'm pretty sure unless Quignitas brings something out in the next couple of games from them, I think that'll secure Flashpoint, because now Flashpoint have beaten Noble and they've beat the Gatekeepers. So as long as Quignitas don't upset them or get some more points, Flashpoint should be secure.
And Flashpoint had the momentum, so to say, considering that the 2 teams that they have beaten are probably 2 of the more favored teams as far as the general public and pro perception. concerned.
Well, I've got to say, for the two players in that game, for me, Dante and obviously Mirage had fantastic performances. Mirage early, but that was all set up because of the way Dante played this one. But Dante was also because of the way Mirage played it early, but Dante just went on a tear, going to the backline time after time.
Even at the very last team fight that we saw going through before they knocked down the Titan, Dante was just zoning 4-3 people consistently. They just couldn't really do anything about having this big baby in their faces at all points in time.
And just look at that, 2 hunters basically with Sol and with Cernunnos on him. And he's like, I don't care, I'm just going to make you wail away on me while the rest of my team do their business in the back line, which is destroy your front line.
Probably the worst case scenario for Wowy or MLC Stealth, because you want to have the shred potential, but you just can't when the enemy solo laner is non-stop aggressing you, and he's just not dying either.
Beautiful way from Dante there. But with that, we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, we'll have the next game ready to find out who else may be joining Flashpoint in the Pro League.